Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the When in Seoul podcast. Danny Cho here.
Bobby Choi.
Boop, boop, boop. So last episode, we talked about K-pop and, overall music in the industry. But the music industry.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? Living in Korea for, 6 months now? My English has gotten to...
It's going to get worse.
Yeah.
It's going to get like mine.
Oh, man. Oh, no.
My speech... it just doesn't come out the way it used to. Like, nothing is clear and free, and you see...
You're rambling. You're rambling. But we talked about how K-pop, but we realized that there's so much more that we need to talk about. So in this episode, we're going to do, I guess, a part 2 of music. I think we can focus a little bit more on K-pop, but also like the hip-hop scene, the indie scene.
Even the classical scene. Like, I worked in doing, like, opera, actually, as well.
Opera?
Yeah, I worked with the opera singers and stuff like that when I first moved here.
Wow.
Talk about that first. It's not very long.
How about we just not talk about it at all?
All right.
All right. So, yeah.
Copra.
Copra. So the first, I guess... genre I want to talk about is hip-hop here.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, the first kind of hip-hop influence, or the first group that did hip-hop was a group called Sotteji.
Yeah.
Sottejiwa Idol, right?
As far as we know.
As far as I know,
yeah.
Right? But to me, it felt like that it was kind of like copying like influences from back home.
I mean, we heard the influences,
right.
Basically the same beats,
right,
and stuff like that. So it's weird to us. I remember bringing that up with my wife, saying that that's the way we viewed Sotteji. Like there was, we really loved it actually, but it was the sampling and stuff was a little bit iffy. But I didn't know that Koreans, like my wife, and when she was that age, of the younger age, she didn't know anything about that. So I showed her like the old songs like of Cypress Hill and stuff like that. I let her listen to that, and she was like, "Whoa, that's the same as that." Yeah, and it was like kind of a mind blow to her.
You just screwed up. You just told her Santa Claus isn't real.
Exactly. Yeah.
But then over the years, and now hip-hop's like a really big thing here,
Yeah.
And to be honest, I feel like the progression, like Korean hip-hop has progressed to a point where there's something distinctly Korean feeling about it, but also Western feeling about it too. So it's like, I think if it's found the right balance, obviously they're producing their own beats now as opposed to just sampling, other people's stuff.
I think for instance, like HOT, I remember the one thing back then, which I found interesting was, they did pop songs and they did hip hop songs. That's not something that was very, I didn't see that happening in the States.
Right.
Where you had a group like, I guess, New Kids on the Block, they were doing kind of raps and singing, but then HOT had some like pretty hardcore rap songs. So already they were kind of flipping things around and doing things like in a new way. I feel like that kind of transitioned into what how hip hop has evolved in Korea. Yeah,
like even every group, every K-pop group. They have like a few members that are kind of like the vocalists. Yeah. They have a few rappers. Right. And then they have a few good dancers. And that's how they kind of that's kind of like the formula over here, right? So
by the way, Danny and I are not experts whatsoever on the subject.
Yeah. We are no longer perts.
This is all conjecture.
Yeah. But when it comes to hip hop, the interesting thing is I feel like once there was kind of like a few like Kyopos that came to Korea, like for example Tiger JK and Drunken Tiger.
Yeah, Drunken Tiger.
Like those
DJ Shine.
Yeah, when those guys came and started it, like obviously they're Korean American, so they're gonna have a different flavor. But I feel like once that happened, it kind of slowly opened up and moved. Because I knew that hip hop had like in Korea had like a very like long underground.
I didn't
history,
know this. Okay,
you know what I mean.
Okay,
but you know, obviously the famous ones are the more poppier ones, right? But I feel like Drunken Tiger kind of ushered in that new era, and I know the YG group had some rappers in there too.
like
you know?
Uptown was
Uptown was there,
right?
And so there's a handful of people. But if it was interesting is because all those guys in that era were primarily from the States.
Yeah, there's a lot even today.
Yeah,
even today there's a lot of like Kyopos coming into Korea, and we know a lot of them.
Yeah.
Just because that circle of Kyopos is very small here, especially in the entertainment industry.
It's name drop time, man. It's
name
like,
drops time.
It's like flow. Yeah, it's like flow sick.
Yeah, Flo. Yeah.
Flo. I mean, you know, he's from the East Coast,
from New York. Yeah, I see him in open mics and stuff.
Yeah.
On the Lower East Side.
Yeah.
He used to just really grind.
Yeah.
I knew that even as not part of the hip hop scene, but because I was doing open mics as well in New York, in the singer-songwriter circle.
Right.
But he was grinding, I was grinding, like doing this, you know, at the same time. And we talked about this too when we met out here.
Yeah.
And he actually heard of me, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
And so we bonded on that, and so it's good to see him succeeding. Like we all knew it would happen at some point.
Yeah.
We just didn't know when. And yeah, he seems to be climbing.
He seems to be doing okay. I mean,
yeah, he deserves it. He's so talented.
Yeah, because like I've done shows with Flo before he came to Korea. Like, you know, when we would do like college gigs, you know, like I do stand up, right? So like they would do like a Korean culture night at some college.
Yeah.
And it'll be like, all right, so we have one comedian, one rapper, and one like singer-songwriter or R&B, whatever, right? And so the lineup would always be like me and Flo, and you know, so it was always we were like a traveling circus, but we didn't really travel together. It was like, we just randomly ran into each other at different colleges, and so I met Flo in a handful of gigs, and he seemed like a good dude. There's a dude that, you know, what's his name, Snacky Chan.
Snacky Chan, yeah. I used to do shows with Snacky Chan in college. In the late 90s. I was a singer-songwriter. He was in a hip-hop group called, I think it was After School Special. No, man, now I'm getting mixed up with Dan A.K. Dan's group.
Yeah.
He had After School Special, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, they had something like that. But it was him, Snacky Chan, James Kyson Lee from the show Heroes, and Verbal from Japan, who's also Kyopo.
Yeah.
But he's a big hip-hop star in Japan.
Verbal's killing it.
And so the three of them and one other guy, I think his name was Hamilton, they had a hip-hop group in college. And since there weren't any Asian performers back then, like, we just all got together.
Right.
Like, there was another pop group, a Christian pop group.
A Christian pop? Really?
And a rap group, and then me. And so I would be the opener, you know, and then you get the hip-hop, and the Christian pop group would end the show. It's, like, so weird, right? But at the time in Boston, there was no one, like, we didn't have, like, Asians trying to pursue the arts. Or music, because it was just, we didn't have, like, role models and stuff. We didn't know it was an option.
Right.
And so here we are now, like, all of us have gone our own ways and have been successful and unsuccessful. And yeah, a lot. And Snacky Chan came to Korea, and he's done some stuff as well, you know. And so it's interesting to see all this happen. Even in hip hop, what's his name? Tablo, yes. Right, also went to school in the States.
Yeah, Standford,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there was some controversy with that, but I know actually my lawyer friend, who's also a producer on my film, he actually went to Standford with Tablo. So I know for sure that they were classmates. If that helps any with the argument.
Yeah, I'll be sure to send this podcast to Tablo to be like, yeah, we believe you, bro.
Well, I met Tablo also one time, and it was really funny because I didn't know him before us meeting the first time, and there's no reason for him to know who I was. But when I first saw him, I was walking towards him to meet some friends, and he yells my name, and he's like, I'm like looking around, I was like, can't be me,
yeah,
and so, but he runs towards me and he gives me a big bear hug. I'm just like, oh, I don't think we know each other. Like, hi. And so like, hey, Bobby, how are you doing and stuff? And I was like, great, nice to meet you. Like, and so apparently just a mutual friend of ours put him up to it and told him to pretend that he knew.
Oh, as a joke?
As a joke, yeah. And so it could have been bad if I try to play it off and be like, oh, hey, man, nice to see you again. Yeah. But I've never seen him before. Yeah. But,
well, I mean, honesty is the best policy. But Tablo's a little on the younger side, but like even the younger generation of rappers here, like there's a guy named Los, he's from LA, tatted up like crazy, you know what I mean? There's a guy named G2 from Texas.
G2,
G2 used to work at my as a server at my friend's restaurant.
Yeah.
Here in Korea.
Right.
And then, so I remember when I came here, and this is before G2 was like, popular or whatever.
Right.
And he's like, oh, and my friend's like, yo, this is his name's G2, like he's a rapper here, and all I was thinking was like, this G2 had like crazy dreads and stuff. And I was like, why does he have dreads, man? Like I was just being kind of a hater.
Yeah.
But now he's like famous, right? So, but it's so interesting to see like, Kyopo's doing well. I mean, obviously, they're not rapping in English. They're rapping in Korean for the most part. They're still killing it, and I'm sure there's a handful more that we don't know or we haven't met.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see that because I always root for Korean Americans in the entertainment business in both the States and here as well.
Well, same here. Like I feel like, at least for me, because I came here not for music. I really came here because I felt a connection here that I wanted to explore, and really kind of connect with my roots. It had a lot to do with that, and try to figure out a little bit more of where my parents were coming from, and just to get to know a little bit more about my heritage.
Yeah.
And just it so happened to be that, I was accepted into this indie scene of musicians, because that's really the spirit of indie music. I feel like is they don't have like rules saying you can't be an indie musician. You can't be a musician in Korea.
Right.
Like you have, but I would say I have paid my dues here. I played at many venues, done many shows. I've done like a lot of shows where no one showed up. So I had to start over,
right?
Just like in the States, and so it's been a mind opener for me. Like it's been very healing for me to be here and be part of this scene. I love everything about the energy of the indie scene here. A lot of people don't know about it, but at least the indie scene that's happening in Hongdae, I really love, because, you don't become a musician. If it doesn't feel like people are becoming musicians for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, they're not doing it just to try to be famous. Obviously, that is something that people want to be, like, famous and big, but...
Sure, but it's like, that they're doing it for the love of it.
Yes.
Because obviously they can take on other careers where they can have a stable lifestyle, and so not a lot of them get ostracized by their families and their peers because they're taking on something that's not that accepted in terms of starting a family being financially responsible and stuff like that, because they're not really making money hand over fist or at all, in the scene. So, but I love that purity when it comes to indie music, because you're doing it for the love of it. And met so many musicians here where they're just so incredibly talented and disciplined and great at their craft, because they worked really hard. And I mean, I love that about the Koreanness about, I feel like Koreans are very disciplined, and it has a lot to do with their parents. If they're gonna make you learn the piano, you're gonna learn the piano.
Yeah.
There's no halfwaying it. I just stopped myself from swearing.
Yeah,
but
halfwaying it. No, but I'm not familiar with the indie scene here at all. I mean, I'm not familiar with any indie scene, to be honest. But are there certain, I guess, artists or groups that you would like to tell the listeners to go listen to?
Yeah, I mean, the ones that I fell in love with when I first came here were the first ones were Galaxy Express, Idiotape, Vidulgi Uyu.
Okay.
They're not around anymore, but they
Pigeon
are.
Milk?
Yeah, they're in other bands and stuff. They've kind of, and then one of my favorite bands is Love X Stereo. There's a lot of, you know what? I guess they're not quite indie anymore, but they still play the indie scene. No Brain, who I'm very close to, and I've written songs with them. I just love their spirit. And their drive, and I feel a real connection with them. Given that I have Korean blood, it's weird. I can't really completely define it, but I love that connection I have with them. Yeah, that national kind of. I'm not Korean. I'm American,
right?
But I feel that connection. For this is the land that my parents hail from. Yeah, and so I feel like I'm connected to my parents when I'm interacting with these musicians too. I'm a musician too, and my goals are very similar. I think you should be the best at what you do. Yeah. I feel like you should, just be undeniable in every way possible, and that's what you should strive for. And I see that in these artists, and I love that we can have a camaraderie and be in it together. I
mean, with the No Brain guys, this past year, I went to the end of the year concert, right? And I was actually blown away because it was a 3-hour set, Yeah. And first of all, the thing I saw was, I saw to one side of the room, there was people moshing, right? Yeah. The other side of the room, there were like 6-year-old and 10-year-old kids. Yeah. And the whole, and this is 11 p.m., right? So, I've seen moshing and I've seen 10-year-old kids at events, but not together at once, right? Right. And so, it tripped me out, you know, and I asked the guys, cause I met them through you, and they were like, oh, so those kids are the offspring of our fans, who were fans of ours before they got, married and stuff. Yeah. So now they bring their kids to the concerts. You know what I mean? Amazing. So meaning that they've been around for 20 plus years, and their fans are still loyal and supportive. The other part that kind of, it kind of lit a fire under my ass was the fact that I do stand-up comedy, and a long set is an hour and a half, right? But all I'm doing is really standing up. I'm not running. I'm not performing. I am performing, but I'm not acting out and using that much energy. But these guys are really performing for 3 hours. You know what I mean? And I go,
it's amazing how much energy they have.
Yeah, and I'm like, what the heck? Because
they're my age.
Yeah, yeah, they're old, right? Yeah. So I'm like, yo. How do you find that kind of energy to do those kind of long sets, And it made me realize, they really care about their fans. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they really care about putting on a good show, And I was like, dude, I should have a little bit of that mentality of, I mean, I don't have much fans, so I don't know about caring for them, but like more along the lines of thinking about putting on a show. You know what I mean? As opposed to just being like, all right, here's the funny guys, take it or leave it, you know? And so I learned a lot from them in that thing. And so these days, I care a little bit more when I'm on stage, you know?
Yeah.
So thank you to the No Brain guys. And to be honest, for some reason, I love that song. And Sungwoo doesn't sing it, but the Soju Hanjan song.
Oh, right,
you know, the one that Dolly sings.
Yeah.
I love that song.
Amazing.
You know? Yeah.
The thing that I'm thankful for from them is not only do we share that camaraderie, it's they introduced me to Pyeonmek.
Oh, yes.
Along with a lot of Korean swear words. Being a punk rock band they've been around for 20 years, mind you. And so I once went on tour with them, or they did some shows down south. And so they invited me along, and I went down. And one night we were, I want to say in like Tongyang or something like that, like just down south. Afterwards, they're like, what should we do for the after party? And because a lot of people wanted to know. Yeah. And so they're like, oh, let's do Pyeonmek. Yeah. And I was like, what's that? It's like, oh, we just go to a convenience store. I was like, what? It's like, come on, man. I don't get to like hang out with, rock stars very often. Yeah. Let's go party. Yeah. You know? And they're like, no, you want to go to Pyeonmek, to the convenience store. I was like, I've been to the convenience store.
Yay, 7-Eleven. Who cares? Yeah.
But we actually went. I thought it was a joke, and we went to the convenience store, and they were like, all right, so basically you just grab what you want, and we're gonna just sit around at these plastic tables and drink soju and beer, and cup ramens. Yeah. But they taught me how like to get a certain kind of ramen. You got to have your favorite, but you can get other condiments like a can of tuna goes a long way. Yeah. So if you buy a can of tuna, you open that up, eat that as a side, or you can throw it right into your ramen. You can buy corn, you can buy all the like chips, everything. Just lay it out, you know. And then that was one of the most memorable nights of my life. And so this Pyeonmek thing I became obsessed with, and I started going alone. I gained so much weight that year because of Pyeonmek, and I would do it all the time. I would take my friends, make sure they did that, and I introduced you to that.
It is still my favorite way to drink in Korea.
Yeah,
and the weather's picking up right now, so but you can't drink anymore. You vegan, gouty monster, you.
Well, I mean, technically you're not supposed to drink at convenience stores, apparently. Yeah. So, but. I'm just really grateful that they taught me that time-honored tradition of doing that. But apparently it came out of, like the high school and college years, I guess like 18, early 20s, when no one had money. Right. The Pyeonijam had everything you needed, and it was under $5. Right. So there's no excuses. You can have a good time in Korea. And so I know this is a music episode, but it's sort of related,
Yeah, because they're the ones that introduce you to this time-honored tradition passed down from poor people to poor person. Yeah. You know what I mean? Generation to generation, bro.
And we've also had Pyeonmek together with No Brain when you visited. Yeah. Because I made it I try to force them into it as much as possible, right? Because it's so much fun with them.
And I can't tell this story on this podcast, but one of the guys unveiled one of the funniest stories I've ever heard in my life, and I don't know why I bring it up, but it was actually
at a Pyeonmek situation.
It was so funny. Sorry, I can't bring it up because it's a little dirty, you know what I mean, right? But hilarious. I was curious, like, how your music would work here, and so when you first moved out here, like I would go to some of your shows, and like it was so interesting because like your songs are obviously all in English, but when you talk to the like in between your songs, you have like like little you talk to the audience a little bit, or you introduce the song or whatever.
Yeah.
And I know you do it in English, but I was curious how you would do it in Korean, and you're doing it in Korean in kind of a broken kind of Korean.
Yeah.
But
the same script.
Yeah. And the girls ate it up. They were like, like he was like, 이 다음 노래는 내 와이프한테 썼어요. 그런데 결혼 안 했어요.
No, you're getting it wrong, man.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Stop messing up my lines. Basically, I said 이 다음 곡 제 와이프를 생각하고 썼어요. 제목은 어딨냐, 이년아.
Yeah.
Which basically means
where are you, bitch? No, but like I've heard you say it in English.
Yeah.
That same.
It's not as
bit.
funny.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how funny it was till I came to Korea.
Yeah. And like people were like, eating it, especially the women in the audience. They were like, "Oh, right?" And I was like, "Ugh!" I had to walk out of there. You know what I mean? No, but but because of this, you've had a lot of random experiences. Like I remember you were like, "Oh yeah, I wrote a song for Andrea Bocelli," right?
Oh yeah,
right. And I was like, "What?" Right? Like.
Yeah, so one of the perks, I guess, that I've encountered being a songwriter in Korea is there's not a lot of English singer-songwriters like me. And so the first year I lived here, I had a publishing contract and was the publishing company. I was working on another project on a movie called My Way.
Yeah.
And at the time it was like a big deal because it was directed by Kang Jae-gyu. Starring Chang Dong-gun
and some Japanese dude.
Yeah. O Dagarishin or something like that. Anyway. Okay. And so they had a theme song for the movie. And they were able to secure Andrea Bocelli as the singer for the theme song, which was a big deal because apparently Andrea Bocelli doesn't sing for movies because obviously he can't watch them because he's a blind opera singer,
right?
And so it was a big deal that they were able to even talk, but eventually they were able to agree on it. And in an interview, Andrea Bocelli mentioned that he thought the song was beautiful and the lyrics, especially, which made my day because I wrote the lyrics for an Andrea Bocelli song.
Yeah.
And so, if I was in the States and they were looking for a writer for Andrea Bocelli, I would have never gotten that job if I wasn't in Korea.
Right.
I just happened to be here at the right time and right place.
Yeah.
Super grateful for that. It opened some other doors for me. I met a lot of really other good people and was able to write more music for other Korean films. And so, it's been very interesting. Having a career in music in Korea has its ups and downs. For the most part, it's still worth it for me to be here because I get to work on some amazing projects that normally I wouldn't get back home.
Right.
I will say there's a long way to go when it comes to just standardized billing and, fair practices and stuff like that. I won't go too deep into that. I won't go into that at all, actually, today. But, I will say Korea has come a long way, at least for me, in what I'm doing. And it's all looking positive. And so I'm very hopeful that things are going to be good in general, for Korean writers, Korean artists, and a long way to go, but at least it's moving.
I mean, you being here, I don't want to say you capitalized, but because you being here, you went to perform at South by Southwest. And it was as a Korean at times, you know what I mean?
I was able to perform at South by Southwest for 4 years in a row, representing Korea, which was just one of the most biggest highlights of my life. I got to share the stage with artists like Drunken Tiger.
Yeah.
You know, some K-pop artists as well, like Red Velvet.
And they got to perform in North Korea recently, Red Velvet.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so, YB, I've been able to, you know, meet these people and maintain relationships with them. And I feel very lucky, you know, because here I am, this like sad singer-songwriter, being able to brush shoulders with some legends in Korea, you know. And I've only mentioned a few, you know.
Right.
And so the last episode we talked about Solid, you know, and knowing those guys. Not only do we know them, I've written songs with them. You know, I've written songs with Kim Jo-an. I've written lyrics with him, for him, on a number of songs. And, you know, to be able to work with people you looked up to and, you know, when you were young, that's a dream come true.
Right.
And so I'm really grateful that Korea opened a lot of those doors for me.
No, yeah, you're right, dude. Like the you know, every time you go, hey, dude, I remember when you told me that you're gonna write a song for Andrea Bocelli like years ago. I was like, what? Like, that's crazy, you know. But you're a talented dude, man. I mean, I'm not trying to up you up that much, but you know what I mean, like.
I mean, the biggest thing that I came closest to was working with Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because of, you know, in a way, because I was working on a project with an artist named Naol, that was in a group called, actually, I don't know, he's just Naol, right?
Yeah.
But I forgot the name of his group.
Yeah.
But I worked with him and a producer named Don Spike. On a song that was unreleased by Stevie Wonder, but the rights were given to Naol to perform, you know, and he was able to get the permission to do that, and I was able to work on that project, and they let me write the melody, the harmony, to the track, so it didn't actually pan out, but I actually had that opportunity to meet these awesome, amazing artists, you know.
Yeah, two dope blind guys.
Yeah, and I actually got to meet Stevie Wonder, which was pretty cool. Yeah. So,
do you think he remembers your face?
With that, let's. But
what?
I didn't. I at one point I was suspicious. I thought because he knows the room so well that you almost believe that he's just acting. Because I remember him when he was leaving and he was walking by me, and I just I was kind of just took a step to get out of the way. Yeah. And I didn't want to. I didn't say goodbye or anything. Yeah. I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was important to him. Yeah. So, but as soon as he reached me, he stopped and he turned his face and he said, "Thank you very much." And he said goodbye to me. Right. And I was like, "What? Were you looking at me?" Just now? I was like.
He could smell you, dude. Other senses are better. You know what I mean? Yeah, but that's crazy, dude. Because the only person I've ever worked with that was kind of like someone I really looked up to was Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
My man.
But, you know, by the way, for all those listeners, if you guys have any song requests for us to not for us to play, but for us to listen to, you know what I mean? You can email us at peninsulapod@gmail.com. You know, you know, I would like some random stuff that we can listen to that's, you know, potentially like K-pop or not K-pop, but like Korean related. You know, yeah, and follow us on Instagram at peninsulapod.
And when you get a chance, hit up Hongdae, some of the live clubs there. There's countless clubs. And if you need any recommendations, Google it.
Or Naver it.
No, but if there's a way you can contact us, I'll give you my favorites. have a lot of favorite indie. They're all in basements, but they're all amazing and great experiences. And yeah, let me know. I'll let you know.
All right, thanks for listening. Bye, guys.